Hi, welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. Research is one of my favorite aspects of writing, but for many reasons, lots of information I unearth does not end up in my books. I've created this channel to share some of these intriguing tidbits. And as you can see, I'm wearing my bonnet, which means we're going to be talking about the 1800s. Today, we're going to delve into a little-known event associated with Abraham Lincoln before he became our 16th president. An incident that, if it had turned out differently, Lincoln may not have been alive to run for office. In 1842, during his last term in the House of Representatives, Lincoln publicly chastised State Auditor James Shields for aligning himself with the governor and treasurer in support of their decision to close the Illinois State Bank, which had gone bankrupt, and adopt a policy in which the state refused to accept its own paper money. Instead, the state required gold or silver, which frankly most people didn't have. The Whig Party, of which Lincoln was part, became irate. He decided to use his friendship with the Sangamo Journal editor Simeon Francis to write a series of letters under the pen name Aunt Rebecca to satirize Shields. The first letter referred to an Illinois farmer, Jeff, who said, "I've been tugging ever since harvest, getting out wheat and hauling it to the river to raise state bank paper enough to pay my tax this year, and a little school debt I owe. And now, just as I've got it, lo and behold, I find a set of fellows calling themselves officers of the state have forbidden to receive state paperwork at all, and so here it is, dead on my hands." The letter went on, and Rebecca identified Shields as one of the officers of state, reading aloud from his declaration against accepting state money. Jeff explodes. "I say, it is a lie. It grins out like a copper dollar. Shields is a fool as well as a liar. With him, truth is out of the question." Additionally, in a rather low blow, Lincoln went on to taunt Shields' pursuit of women, writing, "His very features, in ecstatic agony of his soul, spoke audibly and distinctly. Dear girls, it is distressing, but I cannot marry you all. Too well I know how much you suffer, but do remember, it is not my fault that I am so handsome and so interesting." The letter ended with an appeal to the editor. Let your readers know who and what these officers of state are. It may help to send the present hypocritical set to where they belong and to fill the places that now disgrace with men who will do more for less pay. As mentioned previously, Lincoln signed the letter Rebecca. Pleased with the final result, Lincoln showed the letter to Mary Todd, who found it delightful. A few days later, without Lincoln's knowledge, she submitted her own critique to the journal under the pen name Kathleen. The letter soon became the talk of town. Though Shields was generally well liked, people got a kick out of Lincoln's hilariously spot-on satire. Shields, however, was incensed and contacted the paper's editor demanding to know Rebecca's identity. The editor gave him Abe's name, as per Lincoln's instructions. Shields demanded a retraction, which Lincoln refused. On September 19th at the Tremont County Courthouse, Shields had a handwritten letter delivered to Lincoln which read, "I have become the object of slander, vituperation, and personal abuse. Only a full retraction may prevent consequences which no one will regret more than myself." Lincoln refused to retract his remarks. He returned Shields' letter with the request that Shields rewrite it in a more gentlemanly fashion. Shields decided to settle the matter by challenging Lincoln to a duel, a practice that was still a big deal in mid-19th century America, although illegal in Illinois. However, in nearby Missouri, dueling was still legal. Since Lincoln was challenged by Shields, he had the privilege of choosing the weapon. He chose cavalry broadswords of the largest size, later explaining, "I did not want the fellow to kill me, which I think he would have done if we'd have selected pistols." For his own part, he didn't want to kill Shields, but felt sure he could disarm him with a blade. Next, Lincoln prescribed conditions so advantageous to himself that his opponent would be forced to write off the Marshall affair as a lost cause. Lincoln ordered a plank 10 feet long, from 9 to 12 inches abroad, to be firmly fixed on edge on the ground as the line between them, which neither is to pass his foot upon forfeit of life. Such unusual conditions would allow Lincoln to take advantage of his superior reach. After all, he soared 6 feet 4 inches tall, whereas Shields was only 5 feet 9 inches tall. The day of the duel came, September 22nd, and the combatants met at Bloody Island, Missouri, to face death or victory. Now, there's two versions of what happened next. One says that the two men faced each other with the plank between them that neither was allowed to cross, one spectator noting how grave and serious Lincoln looked. I'd never seen him look so long before making a joke, and I began to believe he was actually getting frightened. But all of a sudden, Lincoln reached up and casually sliced off a branch with his sword in an effort to scare Shields into submission. The act demonstrated the immensity of Lincoln's reach and strength, and was enough to show Shields that he was at a fatal disadvantage. With the encouragement of bystanders, the two men called a truce. The second version indicates that shared friends John J. Hardin, a relative of Mary Todd, and Dr. R.W. English sped to the duel scene as least as anyone could speed in a tiny little boat in 1842, and pleaded with the would-be combatants to let bygones be bygones. It was truly a desperate attempt to bring peace. But it worked. The duel was canceled. No mention of the branch incident is part of this version. Though the incident ended without violence, Lincoln avoided talking about it, preferring to forget it actually ever happened. In a letter dated December 9, 1865, Mary Lincoln recalled that an Army officer visiting the White House asked her husband, "Is it true that you once went out to fight a duel and all for the sake of the lady by your side?" Lincoln replied, "I do not deny it, but if you desire my friendship, you will never mention it again." Lincoln never got tangled up in the makings of a duel again. Shields, on the other hand, found himself involved in such proceedings in 1850, when on behalf of the Democratic Congressman William Bissell, he presented the acceptance of a challenge to a duel issued by future Confederate President Jefferson Davis. But he immediately set to work settling the matter without violence. He was successful. Lincoln and Shields apparently settled their differences, or agreed to disagree. During the Civil War, Shields was nominated for the rank of Brigadier General in the Union Army. Final approval fell to the President, Lincoln. He approved. With that move, some 20 years after the duel that was not, Lincoln publicly buried the cavalry broadsword. Thanks for watching today's episode of Moments in History. If you enjoyed watching, be sure to subscribe so that you'll never miss another episode. You'll want to click the bell icon to be notified when I upload an installment, which is generally the second and fourth Friday of each month. You can find me across social media on Facebook, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. And if you want even more history, stop by my blog, History, Mystery, and Faith, located at lindashentonmatchett.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Moments in History.